Well,
Hello, everybody.
hello.
Welcome to
Hello.
our first triple stream.
Yep.
We're going to Twitch. We're going to TikTok. We're going to YouTube. We're doing all of them at once. Hopefully, this is coming through all right. This is the first time going live on TikTok. The other ones we've done before. So, today we're going to be working on something kind of new. This is our second time doing this.
Yeah.
We're making this is our third time, actually. We're making a one-page RPG in one night. We're coming up with the general mechanics, the story behind it.
Oh yeah,
yada,
I
yada,
forgot
yada, all
about the
that.
Animal Crossing
Exactly. We made an animal. Well,
one. A critter walking across the street, kind of.
yeah, exactly.
Critter
Technically not
Crossroads is a fun sort of sell your soul to Namtuk kind of vibe.
Exactly. So we're not allowed to call it Animal Crossing, but that is essentially what we did. This time, we are coming in blind. We've each come up with a one-page RPG idea. We'll decide between those, and we'll just make it all up on the fly. So, I'm going to take it away first. The general gist of the idea here is called like the Gnome's Revenge or something like that. You and your party are a group of garden gnomes, like the terracotta pottery ones, the things that people put out.
Okay.
And you would have to random roll for whatever the event is as the DM. It would be like some teens have stolen one of the other garden gnomes. You have to go get them back. Or the garden is being attacked by crows. You have to deal with the infestation. Whatever it is, you are garden gnomes a la Toy Story. And you have to solve the problems of the garden.
Okay. Pretty fun.
Very, very fun.
Michael?
So my prompt is ghost stories from the bayou.
All right, well, I'm already hooked a little bit, so go ahead and run that by me.
The idea is the story is being told from the point of view of a fortune teller, basically from the bayou, and you as players, your customers coming in, and then you have to play out the story that she's telling.
Okay.
So it's sort of a storytelling game where the goal is to fill in the story
Yes.
sort of cooperatively. Okay, that's kind of fun.
That's a ghost.
Yeah,
That's fun. Yeah, that's an interesting way to do it.
Heavy emphasis on cards, fortune telling.
Oh, like a tarot deck.
Yes, heavy emphasis on tarot.
Ah, okay, that's
Interesting,
fun.
interesting. I like it.
All right, Ethan.
I don't have a title for mine. It's inspired by the sort of like the early fantasy writing of like people like Jack Vance, where a lot of it is it's sci-fi, but the people don't know that it's sci-fi. But rather than being sort of people on a spaceship that think they are on a normal planet, instead you are a group of I don't know, like either mice or similar critters that are living in a home that to you is a fantasy world, and you have to go find a MacGuffin to save your village. Basically, it's just go on like a little quest to find something that you need. I was imagining like there's like a little shitty portable space heater, and so it's like you must go find a great crystal of power, and it's a AAA battery that you have to like go on this long quest
like
to find.
Wheel of cheese in the fridge. You have to
Yeah.
make the quest to get there. Yeah, I like that.
I don't
Alright.
have a good like. I'm gonna, I guess, tentatively just write like mouse quest. I'm not super attached to you being mice. I'm gonna tentatively write mouse quest. I think it could be fun to be like a mouse, and then I don't know. I guess
Cockroach.
if I wanted to like backpack off of your Toy Story stealing, it would be funny to be like a plastic army man and a mouse and a cockroach going on like a fun little adventure. But yeah, the theme is just like pick a mundane household item, come up with a story around it, and then the players basically have to like go on a quest to go get the item. I don't have any sort of dice card. I don't know what the sort of mechanism would be, but that's the thought.
Gotcha.
You
All
play
right.
mousetrap with it.
So, I believe our best bet here is going to be roll a d6. Each of us choose two numbers on the d6, and then we'll go from there. I'll be 1 and 2.
3, 4.
All right, I'll be 5 and 6. I rolled, I think, last time, so I will not roll this time.
I got it. 4.
All right, Ghost Stories from the Bayou.
Ghost
Stories from the Bayou, which I gotta tell you, I am the most nervous about because I've never done the tarot deck 1 page.
I haven't either.
Do we need to pull up? I don't have one on me. Normally, I keep a couple of like random generation stuffs with me, and tarot deck is one of them. But I don't have it currently. I can either close my camera for a second, or we can pull up. If everybody has the option to open another tab, I know almost none of us do. Is the problem?
I can pull one up.
I can pull another tab up.
Okay, I think I can probably. Let me see. Warning: our stream here might get silly for just a second. It did, and then I fixed it. Great. Okay, so I'll just pull up just like a tarot card reference.
Actually, I don't even have to do that. I can just grab my tarot deck.
That's fair.
Give me 1 second, I'll grab that.
Sure.
Mine are all in the other room, so
I just want to have what they mean right next to it, so that I don't need
Absolutely.
to think.
yeah, I've got a little spark of joy pulled up as my tarot deck, so we should be good. Yeah, okay. Have you ever played an RPG with tarot decks as the base?
I haven't. I've definitely heard of some. I've definitely heard of
too.
a few, but I've never played one. I feel like it's going to be a little bit, definitely very complicated. It sounds like we are almost certainly, and I have said before, this is an important part of making one-page RPGs and is not a dig. It sounds like we are not making a game. We are making a sort of cooperative experience.
An event.
Yeah, where it's like each of us draws a card and then we are in charge of a leg of the story.
Yeah.
As we sort of pass around, maybe. Or it's you say out loud the action you want to do and then you draw a card. I don't want to do too much of this without Michael able to hear.
Yeah, we'll see. He's back.
I'll search for that later because I can't find it. But the funny thing is, my shirt.
So we've got 1 card
Yeah.
on Michael's shirt set.
Yes.
So are we very, very important foundational question here. Are we working with the full 78 card deck with suits, or do we want to sort of pin things down to the major arcana?
Here, how about we...
Or it could be if you
think-
pull one of the major arcana, something major happens. If you pull one of the minor arcana, you don't need to be, it's not as major. Or we could separate them and create sort of 2 classes of actions that you can do, and one of them requires a deck from this sort of more serious group of numbered cards, 1 through I think 24, and then the others are the sort of suited.
Yeah, I'd be cool with that. The other idea I was having was having the major arcana and then just what is it? It's cup, swords, something.
Cup, swords,
Stars,
pentagrams, and wands.
Pentacles.
And have
Pentacles.
Have,
It's a
like-
pentagram.
and then depending on if you pull a swords, it'll be like swords could be good, wands could be bad, something. And then the number on it is the how good, how bad.
I mean, thankfully, it is one of those things where I don't know. It might slow down the game a little bit, but if you play with the guidebook for a tarot deck in front of you, I mean, pretty explicitly, there are good cards and bad cards.
Yes, there are.
You draw the wrong swords card, and it's like judgment and weakness, and then you go a few over, and it's like learning and growing. I will gently say, I love Ghost Stories from the Bayou. I will say we are sort of on the cusp of stereotype. Let's sort of be gentle with this. Let's be cautious as we move forward. People think that way. It is a normal part of daily life, but let's try to reel it in if we feel ourselves sort of skirting off a little too far. I think we'll be fine though. So
yeah, I think the only thing I was thinking with it is it's just that's the entrance, and after that it's Bayou no more, unless the DM wants it to be in the Bayou.
Yeah, I don't know. We could also do yeah, I like it no matter what. I think the only gentle shift we might end up doing as we move into getting it more prepared is it might become an old lady's tale or something. We might sort of hinge it, but we'll see. We can stick with it for now because I do like it. There's something so evocative about a fan boat that's just hard to get away from. You know what I mean? Like there's that Kermit. Even Kermit gets it. So you know,
it does. Back in the swamp.
So we've done some one-page work before. I think we can sort of try to move ahead here in a way that is helpful. First things first. What do we want playing this game to feel like? Because Michael, while you were searching for a tarot deck, one of the things that I brought up is pretty upfront. I think we might end up not making a game, which is fine. We might end up sort of making a cooperative experience that you have with your friends telling a story because, right, telling a story collaboratively, we'll see. You know, the sort of mechanics of like your character can die like we've done before. You know, there's a win and fail state in the in our Critter Conundrums RPG had the similar thing. We don't always need that, though. There are definitely a lot of one-page RPGs that are less concerned with gaminess and more concerned with, other goals, like telling a compelling story and things like that. So, first of all, let's start there. So what do we want this game to feel like? Do we want it to feel like listening to a story? Do we want it to feel like telling a story? Do we want it to feel like being part of the action of the story? Those are different things to emphasize.
I was thinking you're part of the story. As the character listening to the story, it's not even you're listening. It's you just get to be in the story. The fortune tellers.
I know, but so you've said ghosts. So you've said ghost story. Is this a horror game? Is this an action game? We need to nail down what we're going for here.
I was thinking, we've done a few horror things, so it's a little suspenseful.
Suspenseful, so we want to go for like a thriller.
Yeah.
Okay. You've got me thinking.
Holy shift and do goofy.
I don't know.
Stories.
Goofy ghost story. I think no matter what, though, so we are sort of stepping into a ghost story. My brain is, I'm going to Cabin in the Woods pretty quickly. This sort of like generated horror, and then we see who lives and who dies, kind of thing. If we're sticking with that,
you know the horror trope where it's the gas station attendant says like you shouldn't go there, like a bad thing happened there. The reading is before the group goes to this thing. It's like, oh, something terrible will happen, yada yada yada, and you jump forward and you are in that scene where you've ignored the tarot reading and you're in the home at the place, and it's like, bam, this happens, like the 9 of Swords, whatever. So the storytelling is happening in the past, but presently as they're experiencing it. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You follow?
Yeah, I do. So it sounds like the tarot cards are mainly functioning as a GM device, right? They are sort of providing the plot in that situation, which means we might have a GM-less game, which is fine, right? The cards provide it. We sort of do it collaboratively. Yeah. So my question is, do we want successes and failures to be random or not? So do we want people like drawing cards to see if they succeed or fail on actions, or do we just want people responding to the prompts that the card provides?
Oh, that could be. We could have the GM or the GM list. It only has the major arcanas, and then the players have the lesser, just swords and all that.
Oh, and then you have the scale for the like 1 through 9 or whatever. You play it. It's a 9 of Swords, so you've done well, or it's a 2 of Swords, you've done poorly. And the GM does major story beats with the major arcana.
And then the follow-up is, do the numbers correlate to their tarot card meaning or to the suit number? One of those is much more involved, but treats the tarot card a little bit more like on its own terms, which isn't better or worse. Tarot cards, for the record, I just feel the need to say it one more time, 15th century French card game, people. We can really disengage a little bit from like, it's not ancient, it's a card game. So I'm fine with either, treating them basically just as playing cards where it's like, you know, it's rolling, but you just draw a card instead of rolling. Or do we want it to be a little bit more tied to the like nature of the card and what it means? Or I guess that could just be optional rules, right? That is a normal thing to do. You could say, there's one of two ways to play this game. If you're a tarot enthusiast, feel free to, go off of the vibe of the card. Does it seem like a positive or negative outcome? And then just be truthful to that. Or if you're not as much a tarot enthusiast, it's just war. If you roll high, you succeed. If you roll low, you fail. I think I definitely that. Think so. Let's call it. Let's just say optional. They can
I like it's optional.
It's optional. The rules we're going to be writing is for the war-based. It's low-high. Round, I do think that this is a fun thing to do. For a round, it would be the GM pulls a card. It is the queen. That you have to go with the meaning of. The major arcana is the meaning of the card.
Yes.
This happens. The DM or GM says blah, 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 because the queen means yada, yada, yada. These things appear. You have to deal with the situation. Then it goes around the table. Everybody draws the card and plays it. It's like, I got a 2. All right, the spirits attack you and pull you through the floorboards. I got a 9. I grab them and I pull them back up. Whatever.
Great. I like that.
So it's a good order.
I love that. I think at the top of the game, the GM draws a card, and that's our villain. That's our ghost, maybe? It doesn't have to be ghost, but we can say, that's our specter or whatever, right?
Sure, so, You pull the tower. It's a haunted house.
Yeah, and what I like about that is you can engage with it as much or as little as you want, right? You could just say you could draw the tower, and you could be like, oh, it's about a haunted house. Or you could pull the tower, and you could be like, it is a being of change, forceful and uncaring for how it will affect you, right? There's the sort of deeper read, and then the sort of more circumstance, which is both very useful because not everybody's going to want to thumb through a little booklet of what's in the different stuff. So how do we feel about that, though? I love
it.
Okay. Yeah, that works for me. That sounds solid.
So we start by drawing a sort of main antagonist card, and that's prompts the gas station attendant, right? That is, they say that an old man died out there 20 years ago, and he didn't die in no proper way, and he haunts it to this day, he do. And then you just sort of move on from there. And then at the top of each round, as the characters ignore them, we draw another major arcana card. That sets the stakes in the situation as they progress, and then we do a round where they either resolve the situation or do not. Now, having successes and failures implies that you can win and lose, or we need to at the top say there is no winning and losing in this game. Your goal is to have fun. Those are not better or worse than each other. Our first game, our goal, you could win or lose. Our second game, it didn't matter. It was about telling a story. So do we want our players to try to work collaboratively to succeed, or to just go through a story together, and if they all die, that's kind of fun, and if they all live, that's kind of fun? Horror movies tend to, I would say, do the second one more, but this is where we get into the fact that Michael wasn't sure if he wanted to do horror or kind of goofy or just sort of a thriller. If it's a thriller, nobody dies, or one person dies right at the beginning, and then everybody's fine for the rest of the movie. If it's goofy, then people die all the time. People die left, right, and center in the goofy one. It's just they die in ways that are not horrid and difficult to deal with. They die in a sort of yakety sax, nod off kind of way.
If we're gonna have it where people can die and lose, I would love to come up with a way to bring them back into the game as something else, right? Okay. An additional specter or what's up?
I was saying as an additional ghost, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Something.
I wanna give two different offers for that I think are funny, because one of a very well entrenched ghost story trope is the person comes back and they're not actually dead. Right? That happens in horror movies all the time. The guy goes off, you hear the axe swing, you hear a scream, and then three scenes later, they tackle him off screen and save the person who runs away. What we could do is we could just say, anytime somebody draws an ace, a dead character comes back and is miraculously alive. Or we could make that a little harder, and it could be, you need to draw... I'm looking over at the major arcana here. Nothing fits super good. I guess if you draw death. If he draws death, then maybe the opposite is true. Something like that. Or if ace is just the most distinct one that came to mind for me is if you draw an ace, somebody who has died is back.
That's fun.
So the question is, how do you beef it? Is it if you lose?
Was there a damage mechanic? Is it just you pull low enough? Oh, well, you can die now. And then the GM, if it's not winning and losing, the GM can just be like, yeah, and you die. You're pulled down into the floorboards.
And then one of the rules, is death is always off camera.
Yeah. And in that way, the people can continue to pull to push forward the scene, even if their character isn't in it, right? If there's 4 players and 1 GM. The first player dies, their character screams off screen. It goes around, it gets back to the first player again. They pull anyways. They get like a 7. They get to say, this changes in the favor of the remaining players.
And it's also the trope of the town sheriff shows up 45 minutes into the movie.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, it's super fun.
Okay, we're already moving pretty quick here. We've got sort of the loose idea of what a round looks like. We know what the game feels like, and we know what our goal is. Our goal is to sort of walk through a spooky story, using these cards to do so. And then anytime you do something, maybe it's an ace, you succeed. When you death, dying off screen, does it happen if you fail twice in a row? Does it happen if you fail 3 times in a row? Do we want it to happen all the time or not very often? I'm inclined to say it should happen sort of semi-frequently, so that's why I'm leaning towards, like, if you fail twice in a row, your character dies off screen. Or if it's it could be you fail once, somebody else has to use their turn to save you. If nobody does, you die off screen. Michael, what were you saying?
So I don't like it. I think it's a cool idea. I don't think anyone's going to.
I think it's a cool idea. Die. I don't like it.
No, I think it's a really cool idea. I don't think because of that mechanic, I don't think anyone's going to die. Because you're playing with your friends. Somebody's going to. I'll use my action to stop. So I think I don't even know if two times in a row is going to happen all that often. I think 2 times in general, like you fail 1 time, you mark it, and then like 4 turns run by and you fail again, then it's your second mark. And I think it should only be that frequent because you still get to impact the story. Plus, there's a chance you get to come back in.
Alternative, if you pull a 1 or a 1 and a 2, that is an automatic. Your character is being pulled off screen and they die. They can return.
It could be fun that 1 kills you, ace brings you back is kind of fun.
Yeah. How many 1s are there in a tarot deck?
Just 4.
4.
The other issue that I see, I'm looking at our sort of thing here. If I'm not mistaken, the world is card number 21, right? Yeah. So this is a 22 round game.
Pretty long.
22 round game, 21 after we draw the antagonist card.
True.
We should cut it off before 21. That is a 6-hour game.
An easy 10 round game.
Yeah, I'm cool with it being a 10-card game.
Or this is straight up credit to A Quiet Year. This is borrowed from them. Or when you draw death, does the game end?
So you're constantly ratcheting up the tension?
Or it's either you're constantly ratcheting up the tension, or the goal of the players is to escape before you draw the death card. I guess how do we push towards escape? I mean, that is honestly, we bring that up every time, and I do want to say, like, D&D doesn't help you with that.
No.
No RPG helps you with that. It just assumes that it's like, nope, the DM is going to move you through the game, and when it feels like you are getting towards the end of the game, they will end the game. They're not going to be like, no, you're actually back at the beginning. Like, that's just dog shit GMing. Like, if you get to the end of the game and you're like, but you haven't done my cool thing yet, and you try to reset, probably just don't do that. So we can solve that problem if we want to, but my point is just that is sort of an accepted convention of RPGs, is that it's somebody's job to end the game when it feels like it should end.
I kind of like the rule, and I do like the idea of death brings it to an end. I'd be cool with it being like double rule. We have a 10 card game. If you pull the death card, it's over.
I think don't even just make it all of the major arcana, and if you pull death, game's over, or you have one round or whatever. Otherwise, it's when the group defeats the monster, escapes the house, whatever the end state is.
Yeah.
But I think there's an alternative, which is death card is pulled, everybody dies, something. That way, it's not like you have a 1 in 10 chance. It's not just 10 cards, which would be a little bit rough. It's you have a 1 in 20 whatever. 20.
We could do. I just feel like the statistical odds of death getting pulled on round 1 is just too high.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
It's about the same odds as rolling an at 20, which people do all the time. So let's call it. So do we like if we like 10 for the number of rounds?
Yeah.
We could say it's a 10-round game. At round 5, the death card gets shuffled into the deck. And from then on, when the death card comes up, the game is over.
Yeah.
And that adds a fun element of like individual players can try to escape.
Yeah, like what is that? Dead by Daylight?
Dead by Daylight, yeah, kind of does the same thing. And
cool.
again, one of our things that we can just put in is we can say up front, like, you can totally immediately with your first action be like, I smash through a window, I run out into the woods, and I leave. You succeed. Great, you're gone. And it's like, okay, cool. I'm glad that you decided to hang out with your friends. Go sit quietly in the corner for 3 hours while we finish this very long game. Like, I'm always a fan of punishing problem players. That is usually what I will advocate for.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Is like, hey, you can do that. Don't. Like, don't do that. So 10-card game, 12-card game. Do we have a preference? I'm trying to
13.
13.
10. I'm just saying because we're on a base 22 here.
This will be a play test experience, I
Yeah.
think, to see which one feels too long. But we'll call it 10 for ease of use right
For
now.
a placeholder.
Yeah, 10 rounds is. I mean, well, it's a full minute in D&D, and nothing ever takes a full minute.
Well, how many rounds was our Devil's Due? Kinda. That feels like it was about 10 rounds ish.
It was like 6.
Yeah, it was like 6 to 8 or something.
Yeah, it's pretty brief. But we had a pretty. I don't know. We had like a middling group too. Let's call it 10 and see how it works out. That might even be too long. My point is just, I think that at the halfway point of whatever we decide, the death card gets shuffled in, and then it's, hey, we are now moving. Like, the game could end this round. I do think it's important that you have one last round. We can't say like, you pull the death card, everybody dies. It's we just pulled the death card.
Good luck.
I think that this is going to be a little tough to noodle in, but there is something fun about, like, we just pulled the death card. You only have 2 moves left. You have escape or self-sacrifice.
Save yourself, save someone else.
Oh, that's pretty fun. That's pretty good. Okay,
Yeah.
but so we have 10 rounds, a 10-round game at the 5-round mark.
Oh yeah, selfish or what's the word? Altruistic.
Selfish or selfless, selfish or altruistic, either way.
Shuffle in death. Death equals game over. So my only, I want to take the time to say, because we've, my notes right now say, each round begins with the drawing of a major arcana that represents the plot point, and then we draw the sort of suited cards to decide if you pass or fail. It's a 10-round game. At the 5-round mark, we shuffle in the death card. If we draw the death card, that is the last round. The game is over after this round, and you must find a way to get out. Everybody's goal is to either escape or defeat the monster or what have you. We could maybe decide whether or not that is a valid option, right? Is the only option to get away, or can you...
I don't think you can beat the monster. They're ghosts and whatever. I think at one thing we could consider, though, is a secondary objective. Your friend Cindy or Luke or whatever is somewhere in the house or in the swamp, and you need to go get them. So it's escape with your life or escape with Sydney and Luke or whatever.
So I like that. So I think it... No, Michael, go ahead. Go ahead before we make choices.
I was going to say, if you really want to make it a bit darker, Cindy's already dead. You got to get her bones out.
Yeah, so
it's definitely an option. Yeah.
So in that same line, I think I like the idea that I think you draw 2 cards, maybe even 3 if we can think of a third option. People love to draw 3 cards.
True.
First you draw your antagonist, then you draw a complication. And then you draw a third
Yes,
card. So it could be like antagonist, complication, win condition. It could be like, this is who's chasing you. This is a problem you need to solve before you're allowed to win. This is one of the ways that you can win. And your options to win are either escape and you are still alive, or meet the win condition. And the win, if you draw, I don't know. If you draw I don't know these well enough. I don't know. If you draw the Hanged Man, you have to learn a lesson. You know what I mean? Like somebody needs to, something like that. I'm not sure exactly what that looks like. We can decide later on.
Sure. I think that's fun. Okay. I do like the idea of there being a win condition. It's not fighting. It's not beating the ghosts or the zombies or whatever. You're not going to. It's fix a problem, get your friend, get the car running again so you can get out, whatever.
Oh, if you draw the chariot, you've got to fix the car? That's great.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which is fun, because then the win condition is the only way you can escape is with the car. You are too isolated. You are too far out. You need the car to get away.
All of the woods are infested by the spooks, something like that.
Trees will stop you.
Also a good way to use up more of the cards. Antagonist, complication. Spencer, I will advise you to say spooky figures or ghoul or goblin.
Aghast.
Have
I said something bad?
A little bit.
Okay, I'll never say it. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's fine. We live and we learn. Okay, so antagonist, complication, and then win condition. I like this. Definitely. So for those of you listening in the future, I assume at some point there's a small cult based off of our videos worshiping us in a post-apocalyptic desert somewhere. One of the things that we're really discovering in our Devil's Due playtest is that you should put in some sort of helpful mechanic to sort of guide the story along. And I think that this really fits that need. I don't think it's a coincidence that we immediately as a group glommed onto that and we're like, this is an important aspect of the game.
Can say 2 things. First, everyone say hello to Dom, the meme queen.
Dom, the meme queen?
Yes,
love that.
Dom, the meme queen.
How did you get that? That's great.
That is an awesome name. Second, we kind of got a little past where I want to say, but I think it'd be fun if you can pull the death card as your antagonist, and then it's a 5-round game.
An interesting mechanic.
Death's on your door.
Sort of an automatic hard mode if you pull death.
Automatic hard mode could be fun. My other thought was it's like ill-fated adventure. Everyone will die at the end of this game. I don't know. I'm thinking of like the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I think. Everybody dies. And it doesn't matter that they did all the right stuff. Everybody beefs it in the end. And there's a lot of horror movies like that. So it might be kind of fun if it's the like do not pass go option. If you draw death as your antagonist, it's like, all right, your goal now is to just have fun. Tell me how your characters absolutely fuck it up. Although, cool. I don't know, for the wrong table, I think that's another great example of an option. This might be our first 2-page RPG.
Optional rule.
It's a great optional rule of like, if you want to add a little bit of spice and you have the kind of players that will enjoy this, it's a great opportunity for you to sort of give the option to everybody to go on their sort of, Armageddon mission. Some tables love that. I know that our table would love that, playing a game where it's like everybody has to die by the end.
Make it flavorful.
Yeah, it can be really fun. So we've got a really good groundwork for how this game works. Let's get into the drastically less fun stuff. So we draw a sweet card, and it has a number on it. For those of you who are tarot enthusiasts out there, they'll know if they win or succeed based on the context of the card. Good for them. Or at least the way that it sort of implies that they succeed or fail. What about people who don't? We need to pick a number that means success or failure, or we need to pick if there are easy, medium, and hard checks.
I was thinking it would be the suit decides if it's good, bad, or mixed?
See, we could. The problem is card by card within tarot decks. It is, I think, a little too different.
Oh yeah,
for like the rules light option.
Yeah,
I gotcha. So
yeah.
we could certainly. So what's our bad options then? We've got pentacles, wands, swords, and cups. Swords has the most negative stuff in it, right?
Yeah, swords are definitely
swords is all about like challenge and confrontation and things. So that's tough.
Yeah, wands, whimsical, good.
I would say wands and cups being the sort of good, and pentacles
and swords. Yeah,
we have 4, so we could do a mixed success, mixed failure system.
That's interesting. I'm not sure how you would differentiate. So mixed failure.
It doesn't work, but something good does come out of it.
That could be really fun. There's something interesting about drawing a 1 of the really good option. Like you draw 1 of cups. So it's like you beef it, but in a cool way. Talk about like the cool thing you do.
What if bad results are narrated by the GM? You get a pentacle, you get a sword. That's GM. Good results, cups and wands, are narrated by the player. So it's, I find a set of binoculars. I use them and I can look outside for whoever we're missing. Bad result is there's a banging at the door. You have to get out of it. You know, something like that.
Maybe. I think that my only issue with it is that means the GM is going to be talking a lot. Because assumably the GM is going to be responding to everything that gets said.
True.
I did want to say too, Dom said that you love this. Props just for being creative.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Praise. Okay, so we've got the idea of like wins and failures here, or we could do, I don't know. There's something engaging about the fact that it could just be, if you draw a swords card, that means it results in conflict, and then we just have to pick a number. Like, it can't just be high card, because we've got King of Pentacles, Queen of Pentacles. It's not Jack of Pentacles, is it? Isn't it something else?
No.
Isn't it Prince or Knight or something?
Let me look.
King, Queen, Knight, Page.
Page.
So we do have an even split, actually. Ace through 7, and then 8 through King is our right down the middle. Ace through 7, and 10 through, and 8 through King. But we know that Ace is exceptionally good. And 2, there is no 1, right? There's only a 2.
Yeah.
So we've got some choice to make here. I like the idea that, so like, okay, so let's root ourselves in the tarot cards a little bit here, right? Because nobody's going to buy this one page who doesn't like tarot cards. They're going to read that it's a tarot-based game, and they're going to go, I don't have a tarot deck, and they're going to move on to another game, which is fine. Yeah. We're not here to sell to everybody. So I don't think we need to worry too much about, like, what are we going to do if they don't care about tarot cards? This is a weird game to play if you don't like tarot cards. So
this is my ploy to get you into the tarot card.
So wands are about action, initiative, and invention. Cups are about emotion, intuition, and relationships. Swords is all about challenge and conflict. And pentacles are about work, finances, and domestic life. So that's a little... That one doesn't sort of slot in as neatly as the others do.
Not quite.
So help me out here. I'm drawing a blank. How do we want to progress with this? Because I think that just picking 2 to be good and 2 to be bad could be interesting. But I just don't think anybody's going to play this that's like not at all interested in what a tarot card does. So I think we should at least try to base that a little bit more in what the deck is sort of trying to convey to you. Do we have any thoughts on that? Or is our thought, and this is a perfectly fine thought, hey, Ethan, shut up. We want to make this game widely, palatable. And so, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to make it a little bit easier to work with. I do think Spencer may have frozen.
We don't... I saw him moving, but he tried talking. I think he's kind of sputtering.
Yeah, I think his signal may have dipped. How you doing, buddy?
No. It's okay. He didn't freeze in an awkward position, at least.
You hanging in there?
No, I do love the idea of a hardcore tarot card game. And that just makes it tougher for us is all for the rules section.
Oh,
Goodbye.
he's gone.
And then we could have it be like a 1-to-1 vibe of the card. People would just have to be flipping through.
Yeah,
the
that
booklet.
I mean, that is tough
I
though.
didn't see the rules of the thing, so I just hung up. No,
Okay.
my stuff was lagging out. It was the computer came unplugged.
Oh, that'll do it.
That'll do it with that particular bad boy. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
So yeah, we were just discussing about how to use the cards best.
Because I'm really not sure. It's tough because, like, again, I don't want to slow down the action of the game too much.
I'm gonna be so honest. If we make it more complex than the major arcana being big shifts, it'll be too slow
Yeah.
for anybody to play it. It's got to be either all the cards are the same, like pentacles, cups, swords, whatever, on a sliding scale of 2 through whatever, 2 being shitty and ace being incredible, or half of them are bad, half of them are good, and then the sliding scale of 2 through ace is how good and bad.
Okay, I think that we'll just.
I think that's got to be it.
Okay, so let's just commit to that then. Okay, so ace cards are all separated out because that means something amazing happens. That means somebody comes back from the dead, or you gain an asset, or your complication moves towards resolution is a great way to word that in typical TTRPG parlance, right? You know, we shift towards resolution and something progresses. So, I guess, yeah, so 2 through king. Where do we want to just draw the fail line arbitrarily, which is fine, or do we want to try to assign like difficulty to a check, I guess, to use D&D sort of vocab?
I'm cool with just being a dead split.
Yeah, just straight, like at 6 or whatever. It's a fail or it's a success.
So by getting rid of the ace card, we lose our even split.
All right.
We end up splitting halfway through 8.
Do we want this to be a harder game or easier game?
It has to be a harder game because it's a horror. It's like a spooky game.
All right.
Yeah.
On average, you will fail is a good thing to put in the rules. Is like a great example of why you shouldn't be trying to win this game necessarily. Is on average you are going to fail. Like,
Yeah.
It is slightly more statistically likely. Or we could do, oh gosh. We could do 2 through 5 fail, 6 through 10 complicate mixed success, and then page knight queen king success.
Which would be a pretty difficult. I think that's fun. I do like that. I always like mixed success. I think failing forward is fun.
True.
You get the binoculars, but you've rattled the floorboards, and now the ghosts are knocking.
Which is how all of horror works.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm happy with that change.
6 to 10, and then our sort of.
If you fully succeed, a miracle has happened. You have just opened up the gates of heaven. Yippee! Run, please, while you have the chance.
Yeah, if you draw ace and then the next card draws king, then it's the detective showing up in Halloween and shooting Michael Myers. You're like,
I'll get you out of here.
You're like,
Yeah,
damn,
exactly.
wow, we really did this.
That was
okay.
incredible.
So we've got our different levels there. Do the suits matter at all? Or is it just about what number you draw?
I want them to matter, but it's harder.
I think making them matter both ways. It has to be one or the other. And I do like the success, mixed success, failure system. So they don't matter.
Okay.
It's the major arcana that really matter.
Yeah, I do think that's what we're going to have to go with. Similar to what we've dealt with, again, for the future cult that calls our time now the long, long ago and lives in the great desert Dust Bowl. Something that, again, we are sort of discovering is that if we wanted to turn this into a larger game, we could definitely extrapolate on this, but that means moving out of a one page. You know,
it defeats the purpose.
Yeah, we're trying to stick to that. So what I would say is, I think that we'll stick with our initial intention. I think this is a good option to put like a rule and then a box that says like optional rule. If you are a table of tarot enthusiasts, by all means, like do something deeper to determine if you succeed or fail based on the meaning of the card. But for your average Joe, you know, we basically just have like a nice spectrum of success that you can sort of place yourself somewhere along.
Perfect.
I think
Michael.
If anyone would just say thank you to Dom the Mean Queen for following.
Thank you,
Oh,
Dom.
thank you. Welcome.
Thank you very much for the follow. That means a lot.
Welcome to the table.
Welcome. That sounded like a drop on like a cringy
A sting.
welcome to the table. Like we're an 80s shock jock show. Mail in the bonds or whatever. Okay. All right. So we've got 2 through 5, 6 to 10, page through king. Love that. We've got
Perfect.
drawing the antagonist, drawing the complication, drawing the win condition. That's great. Our rounds are relatively straightforward. Do we want to determine who goes in what order in any particular way? This could be as simple as birthday, who pooped last, you know, that kind of stuff. Or it could be as complicated as draw a card at the beginning of the game to sort of determine who goes when.
Mario Party rules.
I think have it completely open, Monster of the Week style.
I do
Everybody
like
gets
that.
to say it because it's horror, you know. If this person wants to save this other person by using their turn before they get hit, go ahead. It's your business. So open.
And we just have the, you know, of course, the classic, everybody must go.
I was gonna say whoever can tell the best ghost story, you can go first.
Whoever's
Talk
seen
about
a real
slowing down a
ghost.
game.
Yeah.
Spend 1 hour and 45 minutes before you ever draw a card. Okay, so we open on... So this is fun. Okay, so I have a question. We can do one of two things here, because I think we are really taking a shape, which is, do we want to steer this into being a game about telling a ghost story or a game about making a horror movie? Because we could do either at this point, right? Because right now we're drawing an antagonist card, a complication card, and a win condition. So we could say, draw those 3 cards. That is your opening vignette. Everybody introduces their characters, and we introduce the complication. You know, Judy went out on the, you know, we're going out for a road trip. Judy went ahead of us. She hasn't called in 3 days. Something like that, you know, whatever it is. It's, you know, I heard that there's an old Mustang for sale out on, you know, I-88. Let's go take a look. Is your complication is you've got to get the car to succeed because the car is what started it all. And that's a horror trope. Or we don't, and it is about telling the story, and we just ignore that. It's just a possibility I see in what we have created is at the top of the game, we establish the whole plot. Is that something that the GM keeps and it's their job to integrate those things? Then it's a ghost story. It's about creating suspense with an audience around like a little candlelight. Or is it a movie and those stakes are established to the players? 2 totally different styles of play. One is about what the GM introduces and the other is about the players from the jump knowing what they need to go do. But it's just, you know, they don't, but the players do. So 2 very different vibes.
My first inclination is that the horror movie version is an easier thing to play. You jump in, this is what's going on, this is what you need to figure out, no, go do it. I think that it being a ghost story might be a little bit more difficult to get into in 10 rounds or 8 rounds or whatever we end up doing. On the flip side, it wasn't the initial prompt that we started with. So, Michael, I think that your vote will have more weight on this.
Yeah. It's tough because I do love both ideas. I like... So, I feel like it'd be better as the movie than the ghost story.
2 votes for horror movie that you are making on the spot. And we'll keep ghost story as an idea in the back pocket for another RPG.
No, I think we are still there. That's all about framing. My question is just like,
Yeah.
do we want to establish stakes up front?
Yeah.
That inherently is a little bit more
Yeah.
movie-ish, right? Because if
Mm-hmm.
you are following things visually, we want to know where we're going. We want to know what is going to loosely what is going to happen and what needs to happen for us to feel like, we did the dang thing. As opposed to a story which is about stringing you along and sort of following the action a little bit more eerily. That is definitely the hardest version of this game, right? If we do that, then it's you need to figure out what the hook is. That is part of it. Part of it is you sort of finding what the complication is. That could be another good opportunity for us to just stick that in a box at the bottom to say, like, establish what it is at the beginning so that the players can guide themselves. Or if you're looking for some extra challenge, don't inform the players. Maybe just tell them what card you drew.
Yeah.
Tell them I drew the chariot.
Now
And
work
then the players
backwards.
will spend the whole adventure looking around for what feels like the chariot to them. They'll be like, is it the car in the garage? Is it the horse that's out back? Is it, where is the chariot in this adventure? Where is the tower in this adventure? Can we find it so that we can survive? See, that sounds more fun, but it does sound more difficult. I think Spencer's got a good point.
Yeah, it does sound super fun. But also, I feel like that's a good playthrough too.
It's the version of this game where a group of people are playing who are used to playing RPGs and are totally like, yeah, no, I don't give a shit if half the characters die. It's fun.
So, what we'll go with for now is the GM draws the 3 cards, tells everybody, these are the 3 you're looking for. Ken, you got to fix the car, and you got to do this. Boom. Good.
I took a bite. You talk.
So besides that, we've got core mechanics basically settled. We've got rounds figured out. I assume the GM is going to go at the top of the round, or like the GM will do a major arcana draw. Boom. This complicates things. Everybody responds. They continue on. When one person does something, the GM then responds. When another person does something, the GM responds. Yada, yada, yada.
Another important thing to establish, again, it's a one page, so we do have to be careful about putting too much down. Something that I would say that I really like about this is if the GM is nervous, if they are an anxious person that has not played a lot before, they could draw cards ahead of time.
Yeah, pre-draw.
They could shuffle the major arcana and then draw their first 5 cards, shuffle in death, and then draw until they hit 10. And basically, they would have an opportunity to, the day before, an hour before, look through and figure out what the beats of the horror movie are going to be a little bit. At least that they can, read what each description means, get an idea of what it's going to be. Because personally, I think that tarot cards are usually juicy enough that, a quick flip through and you can sort of get up and go with it. But obviously, we're coming from the angle of a person who has run D&D for... we are approaching a decade, somebody who's run for a good couple of years, and somebody who's been playing for a good couple of years. So, we are more comfortable than your average bear. But yeah, it's funny. I could immediately, I am so attracted to the hardest version of this game. I think immediately sounds the most fun. I'm like, that's great. It's hard to find what you're looking for, and you're trying, and as players die, it's kind of fun because then you get to introduce a new character. That, I think, is one of the strongest points we've come up with that we really glossed over, is the thought that, Spencer brought up, where it's you don't have to leave just because your character died. You can become an environmental mechanic that has happened. You can be, the random sheriff that shows up. You can be the ghost of your character. I think is incredibly fun if you in the right adventure. That's I'm thinking of there's a god awful sci-fi horror movie called 13 Ghosts with Tony Shalhoub, where Matthew Lillard inexplicably comes back as a ghost and saves the day at the end, and you're like, what the fuck? A movie that both has Matthew Lillard come back as a ghost and implies that the ghosts in the movie are fake. Not sure how they do that. Not sure how they sort of meld those two things together. What were you about to say?
An alternative would be, if you wanted it to be hard, again, it's that when one of your characters dies, you end up being another antagonist. So you add more complications with your draws to the survivors. So you don't want to abandon your group. You don't want one of them to die, because if they do, shit gets harder for you over and over and over and over again, and then it's just basically impossible when you're down to one.
Yeah, definitely will lead to some death spirals, but
yeah,
interesting concept. I don't dislike it, certainly. We are rapidly approaching coming out with 2 one-page RPGs, coming out with the
I think we really are.
the like
the
easy and
ghost
hard
story
version.
and the horror.
Yeah.
Or do a
one-page
RPG. It's 1 page front and back. The front is the easy. We have like regular and then hardcore mechanics on the back. Could be kind of fun.
Yeah.
Something to egg over. Okay, so we are pretty well ahead of schedule. I can never remember this, which is unacceptable for how long we've been running this. Do we end at 8 or 8:30?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. Okay, so we have 18 minutes. We have a pretty well mapped out game here. I think this is by far the best we've ever done at one of these one pages. This is usually a little
really
bit
burned through it.
more
Yeah.
painful of a process. I say painful. I have fun. So what do we have left? I see a couple of options. One is we draw around and see what that looks like just between us really quickly. Option 2, we look for dead space. We look for things where we aren't engaging enough with what is happening here. I can see it going kind of either way. So we know what a game looks like. So at the top of the game, the GM draws 3 cards and establishes the bad guy, the complication, and the win condition. Let's say, the bad guy is the high priestess. We're sort of playing with this that could be as literal or as non-literal as you want. I'm immediately
A cult
imagining.
leader.
Yeah, the cult leader or the evil witch in the woods kind of thing. That is your antagonist. Then they draw the emperor. Somebody's father went on a hunting expedition. They went missing. They haven't come back. It's in this remote area of the woods in Pennsylvania where there are rumors that a witch is present. And then the win condition, you draw what would it be? You draw the temperance or whatever. And it's there is something about the witch that you need to settle. Right? You can't just escape. There is something going on. There is something happening. There is a reason that she is negative. Spencer's dealing with some issues. We will carry onwards. Can you hear us, Maya?
I don't think you can. I was going to say, when we are writing this up, I think it'd be good to give little examples, like what you're doing right now.
Yeah. But so we do all that. Awesome. So you couldn't hear us at all?
For the last 15, 20 seconds, I could.
Okay, that's great. So just so temperance at the end, the last card is temperance. So there is something about this witch's backstory that is tragic, and you need to settle it, and then you have won. That is your win condition. You are not allowed to escape until you have done that, whatever that is. Or temperance could also be fun in the sort of the horror movie thing. There is a conflict between this sort of patriarchal dad character and the party. That's what you need to settle. You have some interpersonal thing. Horror movies do that too. That's the other thing they engage with, is settling your interpersonal conflicts settles the supernatural conflict is another trope. So round 1 comes up. The GM draws another card. They draw, Wheel of Fortune or whatever. And I actually don't know, other than, is that Wheel of Fortune is just like luck or whatever?
It's like good.
I'm pretty sure it's good and bad luck. It's like things will change here and there.
So it's the rise and the fall kind of vibe. So
one of you gets a benefit, one of you gets absolutely fucking destroyed.
Sure.
Yeah, I would be tempted to say, so Wheel of Fortune would be you are driving through the woods of, outside of Pawtucket or whatever. As you see a glimpse of movement in the trees. You could swear, even though you only saw it for a moment, that it looks like Old Man Carruthers, whoever our emperor is, but the car crashes. Because you are distracted, you veer off the road, your tire pops, and you bump into a tree. The car doesn't run anymore, but you've gained something in thinking that you see the person that you're looking for, what does everybody do? And then each of you would go around, you would draw cards to see if you succeeded or failed, and things would start to get ominous. Obviously, we're going to need some kind of a sliding scale, right? We want to borrow again from Monster of the Week, one of the stronger written games. We start at 6 o'clock, we start at sundown, and we go to midnight. Your first round, if you fail, nothing that bad happens. It's your first round. Nobody dies in the first 6 seconds of the movie. Unless they, die completely off screen and it's somebody who doesn't matter at all. So we sort of progress as you would blah, blah, blah does this, blah, blah, blah does that, yada, yada twists their ankle, things are getting kind of weird. And then, so that's our round structure. We get to round 5. At this point, we've found the abandoned cabin in the woods. We are running around. Perhaps we've reunited with this patriarchal figure. Maybe we're still looking for them. And then the death card gets shuffled in, and now we know that, the jig is up. I'm immediately thinking of the Blair Witch Project, right? The death card shows up. It's nighttime. They find a bag of teeth. It's like, hey, dog, last round.
Let's go inside this cabin. Let's go into the basement. Oh, fuck. The end.
Yeah, we look for shelter. You draw a negative card. All right, narrate how this goes poorly, because I think that is a fun thing to entrust the players. And it's like, we go to take shelter, but it's in the cabin. It's the only place we can find. Then somebody else draws, and they're like, all right, I want to look for Mike, the character who died off screen earlier. They say, like, whatever, I want to get blah, blah, blah back on the screen. They roll, you fail, what happens? I do find Mike. And we get that scene of the guy staring into the corner in the basement. And that's curtains. You drew the death card, you knew you couldn't escape, so you lean in to the spooky ending. Or it's the opposite, and it's my detective character, because my first character died 12 fucking rounds ago, comes in with a gun.
Blows him away.
But you roll a mixed success, and so when the window opens, Michael Myers is gone. That's a perfect. That's good. Okay, so
love it.
That's our sort of round structure. Do we see any holes? Do we see any problems? Can we see any moments where a player or a GM is going to go, "What do I do now?"
No, I think it's a lot of thinking on your feet. I don't think that's a bad thing.
Yeah, there's a timing issue I could potentially see, right? Everybody is like, I push the car out of the mud. I investigate nearby in the woods, like within 50 yards or whatever. And it's very quick actions. So you get to the end of the 10-card deck, and only like 45 minutes of in-universe time has passed. I don't think it's necessarily a problem so much as a potential oversight on the DM or GM's part, right?
Yeah, I would be tempted to say that in some way we would need to convey that your action isn't pushing the car to the mud. Your action is getting the car on the road.
Yeah.
Your action isn't unlocking the door, because people are going to be thinking in D&D actions a lot of the time.
Which is 6 seconds.
And that's not going to be helpful. It's like, no, you're not trying to unlock the door. You're trying to investigate the house.
Yeah, so think big actions.
You're searching for items of use.
Yeah, you're doing
you make it into the basement.
Yeah, you're doing a whole plot beat. You aren't doing just a little bit. If you think about horror movies or games, they run in that way. We hit the plot beat, and that's what we do for like 15 minutes usually. It's you've been handcuffed to the radiator by the cannibal family living in the mountains. Your next beat is getting out. Mixed success.
You cut your hand
You
off.
find a hacksaw. Yeah, exactly.
I have another thing that I can't say it's a hole, but it's something that we should think about. What if somebody's trying to help, two people are trying to work together?
I think it just gives you twice the opportunity to succeed at the task, right? You both draw your individual cards. One of you succeeds, one of you fails. It's the thing will get done, but there will be a bad thing for the other person, right?
I think it's either that, or I think that as many people can get involved as want to on each turn. It doesn't really matter. It's one person's turn to draw a card, and their character will lead that scene. But I think that it's just flavor.
Okay.
If you want to help, you can totally help. It's just you're going to help in the flavor of the game. You're not actually going to do anything. And then if your turn is later, when it rolls around, then you can say, I want to help undo the mistake that just happened. Like, I want to help get them out of this bad situation. Gotcha. Can be your sort of follow-up, but I think I like the idea of not letting, to be perfectly honest, not letting people sort of piggyback that way. Because if they do, you're going to end up with two strong personalities that are going to be doing the bulk of the guiding actions every round, and that can get pretty boring.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I could see that. Helping out isn't really a thing. Cool. I mean, I hate to say it, we got ourselves a game here. I think that this is a solid, for an initial 1 hour brush, solid.
Yeah, I feel pretty good about it. This seems really solid. I don't see too much room for goof 'em ups. Yet again, it sort of relies on a certain awareness maybe of what the cards are. But again, drawing them ahead of time, I think, as a note, is going to really help with that. It's like, you can plot out what it's going to look like if that will help you. Don't write the plot because you don't know what the players will do. Just read read what the cards mean and start getting some ideas. Don't plot it out, or you're going to piss yourself off. You're going to like get a story in your head, and then one of your players is going to be like, "Oh, I set fire to the house," and you're going to be like, "It's round 2," and they're going to go, "I said what I said," and you're going to go, "Okay," and then you're going to have to, and then you will be panicking because you can't do any of the stuff that you set out to do.
Yeah.
All right, we got 7 minutes left, guys. We got to do something. Spencer, pull up a bit.
We're doing a bit, boys.
Pull up a bit. We got no other choice.
We haven't done in a minute. We haven't done They Say, You Say, I Say.
Why?
Oh, that's not the one I was thinking you'd go for.
No, I think because it's been a while, we should give it a whirl. All right. Everybody roll your D6.
Yes, I will. I got my new
do you want to explain what this bit is really quick while we're rolling?
Probably a good idea.
Yes. So while everybody rolls, They Say, You Say, I Say is a fun thing that us at TTRP Guy like to play, which is where we each get a chance to say a monster. So say Ethan rolls higher than me and Mike rolls higher than me, which I believe they did.
Yes.
Ethan gets to pick a place and Michael gets to pick a monster from the D&D universe, or vice versa. They don't get to talk about it first. One of them says a place, one of them says a monster, and the person who rolled lowest in this situation was me. I have to make a hook for an adventuring party. It's the story beats, the line, the follow through they'll get through this monster and location on the spot. I have no time to prep. They say it, and I have to blurt it out.
And I'm going to add something that we've failed in and out of. Michael and I need to choose them independently and not share them, or we'll base them off each other, and then Spencer gets an easy job, and that's not fun. Okay.
So both of you, let me know when it's been selected. If you both have the thing done, great. Well, first of all, who's picking what? Who's picking a monster? Who's picking a location?
I'm doing. Well, I rolled 4. I think that was high, so I do monster.
I got 3.
Michael claims monster, so Ethan gets location.
Okay.
We've done this like 5 times. I would say overall, we've had about an 80% success rate, I think. It's been pretty solid all around. It's been a little iffy, I'd say. It's been easier because, we've been saying a location and a monster together, so it's pretty easy to pick. One of my favorites was the blank dog one. I thought that one was
I've never had to pull up so hard from an idea. I was really stumbling down a path of making the dogs the good guys. And so in the end I had to be like, and so I thought the plot was going to be murder blink dogs, but now the plot is discover that you're the guy who hired you is secretly evil. He's
the bad guy.
It happens to the best of us.
Yeah, I've got my monster.
All right.
1 second.
Oh yeah, take your time.
It's tiger sharks on the moon. Fuck. A side note, so we can end the bit with the end of the show. Feel free to follow us, subscribe, etc. on YouTube. We're on YouTube as TTRP Guy. We're on Twitch, TTRP Guys. We're on TikTok, TTRP Guy. We have a website, ttrpguy.com. We stream every Monday and Wednesday. Wednesday is our Theros D&D actual play. We're about halfway through that campaign at this point. You can tune in then. You can tune in here. We play from 7 to 10 p.m., roughly. Probably closer to 7:30 to 11.
Yeah.
Besides that, you can catch this stream every 6:30. You can catch this stream every
day.
Monday from 6:30 till 8. So follow us, subscribe, etc. Let's do this bit.
Okay.
Michael.
So my monster is the Bagman.
No!
Yes.
All right, the Bagman.
My location is a Stonehenge-esque circle with a magic sword in it.
All right, yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Deep pull, Michael. The Bagman.
Yeah,
Thank you.
the Bagman
I
is a great
love
pull.
the Bagman. And we were
Alright.
in horror-esque. I thought, why not throw in a horror character? Do you know any facts about the Bagman?
No, I know who the Bagman is. I think I got him.
Here, for the viewers, then
Sure.
I'll just say what Bagman is a scary guy. Bagman is an urban legend amongst adventurers. He hides inside the bag of holding, and it's thought that he can traverse through different bags of holding. And yeah, when you find, or if you are looking for an item that you swore you put in the bag of holding, it's not there, Bagman took it. You can come out and kill your party if he wants. But yeah, he's got multi-attack, bite, claw. He can regenerate every round. He can smell. He loves to grapple. And he's amorphous. He can crawl and squeeze through a space that
Disgusting.
is as small as 1 inch.
Mine's pretty
Yeah.
straightforward. I think they'll get mine. Mayo, you got so much vamp time.
All right. You are a fairly high-level group of adventurers. You've been traveling together for quite a long time. Your monk is very strong, can punch like 7 billion times. Your fighter can swing his sword a bunch. And your wizard has collected several spell books in her time across the plains. The second most recent spell book that has been acquired was actually a find instead of a kill. In a wizard's tower that had been long abandoned, there was an ancient-looking spell book. The wizard picked it up, flipped through it for a while, found both journal notes and spells written within. The notes were written in like Old Common with an E at the end of old. This is ancient. There was a lot of studying done on both immortality, the ability to resist the throes of time, and on a magical relic of immense arcane power that could only be wielded by the hand of a truly good champion. These notes devolve as things continue on deeper and deeper into the spellbook. The wizard followed these notes with the party, and you found a glove called the Good Hand. After retrieving the spellbook, however, things started going missing within the bag. And after a time, in your bag of holding, and after a time, the spellbook itself went missing. And so did the glove. Following the notes to where supposedly the sword was, you find an interplanar sectionality of stones. And there you see what has been stealing from your bag is the Bagman, a.k.a. the wizard who had initially been taking the notes. You have to slay the Bagman, retrieve the glove, and pull the sword from the stone. And that's the adventure, baby.
Bagman Origins? Bagman Origins?
Yes,
Hell
sir.
yeah. Bagman Revengeance? I am in. I am sold. That was great.
All right, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. Like I said, follow, subscribe, check out all of our socials and our website, etc., etc., etc. And we'll